Hi everybody, Cheaply Chic Lynette here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am here to share with you my completed fall journals that I created for this season. I'm so excited to finally be able to share them with you. I have 4 journals to flip through rather quickly because they are pretty similar, but I'll go through one of them a little slower than the rest. And then I have 5 ephemera pack journaling kits that I put together also. So I have a lot to share in this video. I'm going to just jump right into it. I do want to mention that these journals and kits will be on my website. That will be the very first link in the description box down below if you want to go over and check them out there. Okay, so I'm going to jump into them. You'll notice, first of all, that I have 3 of them in this material and 1 in this material. They're still all very similar. That's really the biggest difference between them. I made them all the same way. These journals measure about 6 inches across on the cover and 9 inches long. As far as how many pages are in them, I will put it on the screen right here because I haven't counted them for a while. So I kept the strip pretty long and lengthy around the journal in case it becomes extra fluffy and you need extra fabric to tie it up, or if you want to take some of the fabric off the edges and use it in your journal, there's enough for that too. So this is an old fabric that I found years ago and I just absolutely love all of these prints. So here on the front of each journal, I did create them the same. They have this pocket stitched onto them. So this is an old fall napkin, again, that I had in my stash. I stitched it onto a piece of flax linen material that frays lovely and beautifully, so I just love that. I also had this vintage trim in my stash and I used that to create the top of the pocket. And then you can see this material here just has some really sweet little florals and fruit images. And I thought those colors were just perfect for the fall. Here on the side, each of them has one of these little plastic gems attached to it, along with 2 little metal leaves there that could be taken off and moved around wherever you wanted to put them. So as far as naming the journals so that you could find them more specifically on the website, they all have a tag in them with a little leaf stamp. This one is going to be called Autumn Blessings. So I just have that tucked in that pocket along with a tag that has the "This Book Belongs To" stamp, and then this really sweet scarecrow stamped image there on the front. All right, so let's get into the journal. I'll flip through this one a little slower than the rest just so you can have an idea, and then the other ones I'll go through rather quickly because they are so similar. So each journal has a fabric cover that is lined with scrapbook paper. It's been stitched around the edges. And then again, with the vintage napkins, I had some of these old linen napkins, and in each journal I created a pocket here in the front with those. So there is a tuck spot here. Technically, there's another little tuck spot here, and then there's a pocket at the top. So in that pocket, there's another stamp tag with "And the Story Begins" stamp, and then just some sweet acorns. I do have these journals stuffed full of ephemera as well as some bags I'll show you after I flip through of more ephemera that'll come with it. Some of it's handmade, some of it's printables, and some of it's vintage. So you'll see all of that as we flip through. And like I said, these are vintage and old pieces, so the fabrics are kind of stained up, but I think that's what makes it so fun. So there is lots of stamping and stitching throughout this book. Here you could pin something on the back of there if you wanted to. There's an old piece of vintage graph paper in here, and I love just the numbered pages that are on those sheets. Here I just stitched on some burlap, added some fall ribbons and leaves there at the top. So here I've just done some stamping. I stitched a coffee stained doily here into a pocket, and there's just a couple tags tucked in here, as well as some little pieces down here in the corner, machine stitching. Here, just another tuck spot with another little hand stamped tag. A music sheet page here that I've done some stitching on. You could add some photos or whatever to the inside of that, and there's just a little scrap paper pad. Another little tuck spot pocket. I love apple images in the fall, so I've used quite a bit of printables like that. I will try to link down below the printables that I used. I also picked up a lot of images that I love year after year from Graphics Fairy that are free images over there, so I'll link that down below also. This is a coffee stained piece of paper with that tablecloth image. I just love that. Here I have another little envelope, and I've tucked a vintage fall note card in here from Current. It's just blank, so that'll be an awesome little journaling spot also. And I tucked the envelope for that card in there as well. So here's just an Edith Holden book page. Here on this side, I've tucked a little vintage cigarette card of a bird, and then just some more ephemera here. There's just a blank tag tucked in there. I've made a lot of these little journaling cards out of printables that I've stitched onto tea stain paper, so you'll see those throughout. And then here's one of the little coin envelopes that I made in a recent crafty video that I've shared with you guys. So just more stitching and a piece of vintage lace stitched to the side with that little leaf charm dangling there. Here's another little stamped tuck spot that I created with some more ephemera. A piece of tracing paper here. And then this is an old vintage children's book that I had, and I used the book pages about fall to create the center book page here. So I just stitched on some of that graph paper to create a journaling spread here. And then the tracing paper. Here on this side, I just have some more ephemera. I've put these envelopes in every journal and the little packet that comes with it. These are super old envelopes. I love the coloring in them. The problem with them is because they are old, they kind of have a spot that's stuck together on all of them. So I haven't tried to open them up. It's possible that when you go to open this, oh, that one popped open. Most of them don't. I've used a lot of these envelopes where it ends up tearing. So open that at your own discretion. I wanted to include it anyway because I think the paper is so pretty. You could use it in a lot of different ways. You don't even have to try to open it up, or you could cut it open with a razor blade. I just wanted to make mention of that. So here's just an old vintage bridge score pad piece of paper, and then another hand stamped tag. Here is that little plastic gem that I love so much, more stamping and some vintage lace stitched to the side. Here is that other Edith Holden book page. It has one of the little faux postcards in here that I created. Really pretty book page there. And then another little tag that we made on camera. And then there's another little pocket here. You could add photos or stick some paper in there if you wanted to. There's that other dyed tablecloth paper there. Here is another music page, and I just took another table linen that I had and I created these pockets that I've used in all the journals, and then I just added another little tag there. Another tuck spot and another little faux postcard. Here's just another really pretty page, lots of journaling space. I did break out a lot of my old vintage stamps. I just love some of those stamps that I have in my stash. Here is a business size envelope. I just added some ephemera to the front and then tucked a lot of various tags in there. Some of them I've stamped, some of them I haven't. You could tuck a lot of pictures away in this envelope or just lots of different journaling. Here in this page, we just have a tuck spot here. This is some handmade paper that I had in an old apple notepad. So that paper is shaped like an apple. I just think that's so much fun. I tucked that in there. And then another piece of printable ephemera. And then here's the other side of that linen pocket. And I just have a hand stamped tag in there. And again, you could use safety pins or garment pins and adhere whatever you want to these fabric pockets. This is an old calendar that I had in my stash, and I used October obviously for the fall season, but I love those colors. I think they fit perfectly. This is another hidden pocket here. A vintage little Thanksgiving prayer paper card that I had. I love those. It's more stamping and stitching. This is a book page out of a prayer poetry type book that has some of the most beautiful fall images in them. More coffee stained paper and vintage lace. This is some old computer paper that I found thrifting that's been tea stained. Has one of my little wallpaper tags in here, as well as some more ephemera. Here is a little flourish bag page. I just clipped an old black and white photo on there and some more ephemera. Another one of those linen pockets here. I used a book page here out of an old children's book to just create this little flip. And then this is a little tuck spot here. Lots of room for journaling. I always appreciate lots of room for journaling and lots of room for you to create yourself. Old vintage note paper there. Some more, this is a vellum book page here. Another vintage card from Hallmark that I had. Comes with the envelope, and it's just a sweet Thanksgiving card. These are probably from the 80s or 90s. I love them. Some more vintage lace stitched there along the side. Another leaf charm. This is glued down all the way, but it just has a little journaling spot here with some stamping. Some more vintage yellowed notebook paper. One of my heart stained paper. This is the center of the second signature. These journals do have two signatures. I have included some vintage pages out of an old Pilgrim's Progress book. I love those. Just some more stitching and stamping, more ephemera tucked here with stitching. Just some more little printed ephemera here. And moving backwards through the signature, there's a little journaling space there with a tea-stained doily. Just some more fabric pieces here. The vellum, the old note paper, a tuck spot with more ephemera. Another little scrappy notepad that I made here. A vintage recipe card clipped here. I also have one of these old Betty Crocker recipes tucked away in here. Here's a little piece of eco-dyed cardstock that I created in the past. Some more ephemera and tags here in this pocket. Beautiful tea-stained paper. Another hand-stamped tag and one of those gold vellum envelopes that I love so much. That poetry book page with the really pretty images on there. This is a vintage stamped envelope that I had. Some more vintage lace here on the side of this book page. And then the back of the book, we just have more stamping. A little coffee dyed glassine bag here that is like a flip out. It has a little hand stamped tag here. More hand stamping, and then just a little scrappy pad here in the back. And I do believe, yes, this is a pocket up here. You could tuck away something there. And then that is stitched to that old calendar page there with some more stamping and tea stain paper. So that is a complete flip through of the Autumn Blessings journal. I will show you the other ones quickly. They have a lot of similarities between them, even though they may be laid out a little differently. Each one of these journals do come with a few bags of goodies. There are other little pieces of ephemera in here, vintage book pages, vintage tickets, some newer type tags and pieces that you can use in your journal, a library card and pocket and tags. And there's this fun fall bag here with a lot more little pockets and tags. So you really are getting quite a bit of goodies to use in these journals. All right, so moving on, I will go through these a little more quickly. So here is a fun little checked print old fabric, again, that I had in my stash. This journal is called Thankful and Blessed. And then again, it has the same tag here in the front. They all have the same scarecrow stamped image and the same pockets here with the fun stitching and the vintage lace. And then these covers are just these really fun fruit and sunflower vintage fabric. This one has a fun little orange charm hanging off the edge, again with those same two little leaf charms. And then again, I loved this in the front with the little pocket made with the napkin, same tag here. And then just that vintage graph paper against that burlap edge. Another little tuck spot there with the doily pockets. All of that same ephemera is tucked in here. All of the same stamping, even though it might be laid out a little differently. I've attached that little image to that envelope, and that vintage note card is tucked away in there. That same vintage trim. Here is the book page that's in here. It says fall. He's collecting their harvest. I love that image. And then just all of the same stamping and stitching. I had so much fun making these. I don't know what it is about making fall craft projects. Maybe it's the color. Maybe it's the colors of everything. It's just so fun and enjoyable. This one has this little pocket thing here with some tags tucked in. So it's double pockets with some tags and ephemera. Another one of those vintage calendar book pages from October. Another little tuck spot here. Another one of those linen pockets. Here I just tucked in this little scrappy notepad. There's that vintage Thanksgiving prayer piece. Another little vintage book page tuck spot with some fall poetry. Those Pilgrim Progress book pages, that handmade apple-shaped paper, more ephemera. Another one of those vintage recipe cards. More fabric cluster down here. Wallpaper tag there. More ephemera you can use in your journaling. That vintage black and white photo. Another piece of eco-dyed cardstock that I created. More ephemera tucked in there. Same here. That vintage stamped envelope. And then another one of those little scrappy pad pockets here with another little tuck spot up here. Super cute. So that is the Thankful and Blessed journal This one is going to be called Beautiful Autumn. Again, it has that same scarecrow tag there, the same really fun pocket here on the front. You can see that I did a 5-hole pamphlet stitch on these journals. This one has a fun little orange charm clipped on the side. And then moving in, here's that same little linen napkin with those same tags, the vintage ledger, and the burlap little fabric cluster page here. Another coffee stained doily. And then I'll try to move through this a little bit quicker. Wallpaper tag there, more vintage lace. Such sweet printables. This, I think, came from Graphics Fairy. And here's that book page. Another linen pocket here. More fabric clusters here. There's that envelope with all of the tags that's been stitched into a pocket here. This one is a November 1999 calendar page. So pretty. There's just more ephemera clipped in here, another black and white photo here, another linen pocket. Then here is another children's poetry book page pocket. Lots of ephemera tucked in here, those Pilgrim's Progress book pages. Eco-dyed cardstock. All right, and that is a flip through of Beautiful Autumn. And then we have one more to share. This is the Give Thanks journal. Okay, so here is that pocket on the front. This one has an orange little plastic charm on the side. Okay, and then moving into the same little page layout here in the front. Same vintage pieces tucked in all of these journals. They all come with the same type of ephemera. That book page here. Another linen pocket here. Envelope with all of the tags in there. November of 2001 is that calendar. Another little linen pocket and black and white old photo here. children's book page about Thanksgiving. More of those Pilgrim Progress book pages tucked in here. And lots of space for your own creating and writing or photos. Another little scrappy pad here. Eco-dyed cardstock. Little vintage cigarette card there. And then in the back of this one, I made this glassine envelope here with the mushroom stamps. A little hand stamped tag. That vintage card is there on the back, and then the calendar page stitched there. So this is the Give Thanks journal. All right, so now I'm going to share just one of the 5 fall little journaling kits that I put together. They all have the same elements in them. The thing that might vary are the book pages. Obviously, those are going to vary from paper to paper, but they all have the same number of book pages from the same exact books to the same exact pages and letterheads and all of that. So there are only 5 of these on the website, but I will go through one of them now. These are going to be listed in one listing. I will put a quantity of 5 on them because they are the same. I don't really feel the need to name them. Whatever book pages you receive, you know, it's going to vary probably from what you see here. So let's just get into it so this video isn't too long. So here I have this vintage legal size red file folder full of goodies. I do have it tied together with a rather large scrap section of that really pretty autumn style material. There's quite a bit here, so you could use it on the edges of your journaling, on the edges of your journal pages. You could create all kinds of little tag ties and tabs and all of that out of it. There is about 50 inches here of this material. It measures approximately about 6 inches across. So there's lots of that fun material to use there. Here's a little baggie of goodies on the front. It just has a hand-stamped bag where I used this little pumpkin patch stamp. There's a ticket up here that says Give Thanks. And then tucked away in here is just some items that you could, obviously use to make your journal. There are 3 little vintage recipe cards, a layaway tag with this little leaf tag clipped on here with a gold garment pin, a green guest check, a little inventory tag here, a strip of 10 of these yellow tickets, 5 white tickets, and then this is the file folder. So it does have these metal clasps here on it, and then we're just going to go through this rather quickly. There is one of those vintage Thanksgiving note cards in here. All of them are in brand new condition, even though they're pretty old. So let's go through this one. I used a lot of these rose gold paper clips to hold things together. There's a vintage Hallmark recipe card. There's one of these little table markers with this rose gold border. Oops. There are 2 of these paper leaf tags, a white coin envelope, and then another little table marker tag there. I do also need to count how many items are in these little ephemera packs. I don't even know. I haven't even counted them up. So here's another vintage recipe card that each kit has a green little paper sack. There's a black tag here, a little paper seed envelope, 2 vintage coin rollers. There's a pennies and a dime coin roll. I thought these colors were great for the fall season. Another little tiny manila tag here, and then 2 little claim checks. Okay, so here we have a mini CD case, and it has 5 of these little paper price tags in here. Here's a tea-stained business size envelope, and I just have a From the Library of label here, a vintage sunflower playing card, and then tucked away in here, let's see, we have one of those Apple note cards. These are blank, and it has the envelope. Also another little vintage recipe card. This one is a fold out. Another fall themed vintage playing card, as well as another. And then here there are vintage playing cards in each one of these kits that have a fall autumn photo here on the front of them. They might be written on, they might not. I was going for the image on the front of those postcards, and then just 10 orange tickets this time, and then this tea-stained envelope that you can use as well. There's another mini CD envelope, and then I have these old sticky labels. They're something that you would use in an office to send a little bill reminders, but I always love these, and I think the colors are great for fall also. There is a strip of 5 vintage skee ball tickets. Again, the color is great for the fall. A library card and pocket, an old bingo playing card, a manila seed packet, 2 of those brown envelopes I mentioned earlier. Maybe they'll pop open, maybe they won't. Now I can't help but try. I seem to be having good luck with them today, so that's crazy. So here's a little windowed jeweler's envelope, and tucked inside are some labels. So here's a strip of 3 of these little floral labels, and then 2 gold labels here. There is a black cash envelope, 1 manila time card, an old Quizmo game card, one of these little handmade paper style Apple papers. There's this envelope with this brown printing. I love that. You could make a tuck spot out of this or add it as a journal page, but the color is perfect. There's a 5x7 yellow paper bag. There's a pumpkin napkin that you could use for decoupage. Lots of little pumpkins all over this napkin. A vintage advertisement printed paper bag here. A larger green paper bag. I have a vintage letter in all of them that have like a fun little company logo here in the corner. This one is from 1950, and they all do have a letter of some sort. Some might be handwritten. This one has a typed letter in it. One of those first edition stamped envelopes. This one happens to be from 1948. I have these old Post-it notes. They are a trifold piece of stationery, so you could write your journaling and letter there, and then it trifolds into a little thing you could add a sticker to and send in the mail. I'm sure you all remember them, but it has this great pumpkin image here on the front. I did include the little gold seal. I'm sure that it is not sticky anymore. I have some of them that separate from the paper. You could glue it in place if you wanted to, so I just included that for you. All right, and then moving into the book pages, I have 2 of these old Pilgrim's Progress book pages here. This is a reprint book, but it is, and still rather old. I think it's from the 70s or 80s. So it's yellowed. That makes it fun, and it's just this old dress Sears catalog reprint book pages. There are 2 of these old pieces of paper. There is a connected book page out of this prayer poetry book that I love the images and the poetry out of. There are 2 smaller Edith Holden book pages that either have fall images or some of her fall writings on. There are 2 of these book pages out of these fall recipe books. I love the images on here, and the recipes actually look really good too. There is another book page out of an old recipe book that I have. I absolutely love this. Actually, it is 2 book pages. They're just still connected. So just some fun recipes. And again, I love the colors and the fonts on this specific book page. Some children's poetry book pages that I have about fall. Here's an older yellowed book page, and then one that's white, but it still has some autumn themed poetry on there of some kind. This is a ledger paper that I have from the late 1800s. I did have to fold the bottom of it to fit it in this folder, but this is just great paper. You could cut it and use it in your collaging. You could add it as a journal page. I just absolutely love the fact that this is well over 100 years old. That's so fun to me. I have this ledger type paper with the brown print. Again, I think it's great for fall. It is folded at the bottom to fit in the folder and not to get damaged in shipping. Then there's a few pieces of letterhead, again with the fall colors, and perfect to make some of those journal pages that you might want to create. Here's one with the maple leaves here. Another letterhead paper here. All right, I included these 2 pieces of old notebook paper because of that coloring. Again, this is from the Rio Grande Western Railroad. That's an old notepad that I had, but it has this yellow lined paper here. And again, I just love the colors, so that's fun. I had this old little desk calendar here. I love, again, just the apple images, and I think it's great for fall. There are 2 of those. And then there are, let's see, 2 of these reprinted parchment style letterhead papers. These are not actual parchment, they're just printed to look like parchment, but the colors are beautiful. Then I had this old notepad with this super yellowed notebook paper. I used it in my journals, so I included 2 sheets of that. And then there are 5 Ideal book pages. These are out of vintage Ideal magazines. So some of them have print, some of them have images, but they all make fantastic book pages in your junk journals. There are a few Halloween pages in here. There's a turkey. And lastly, the last book page. So that is everything that is included in these 5 kits that I have. Again, I will list them all as one listing for these 5 kits, so yours could vary from what you have seen as far as the images go, but all of these elements are included in the kit. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch. I hope that you enjoyed. I hope that you enjoyed seeing the journals that I created and all of the ephemera that I stuffed full of them. Looking at autumn journal flip throughs on YouTube are some of my favorite videos to watch, some of my favorite journals to watch. So thank you guys so much for taking the time. Again, that link is in the description box down below. Feel free to message me with any questions you might have. I will have the measurements and the page count and item counts in the description box down below and on the listings as well. So thank you guys again so much. I hope to see you again in my next video. Please do subscribe and like this video if you enjoyed it. Otherwise, you guys, I will see you in the next video. Bye.